MAGA communism. It sounds like an oxymoron, a contradiction of terms. Now, how do I know that this isn't all just a meme? It probably started out as a meme, but now MAGA communists have formed their own political party. The MAGA communists claim that they and their American Communist Party are the real communists, unlike the Communist Party USA. Their leader is an activist named Jackson Hinkle. And if you look at what he posts on X, it's not what you would expect from a Trump supporter. Let's take a look at some history. Karl Marx was influenced by the German philosopher Georg Friedrich Hegel. A big part of Hegelian philosophy, which is present in Marxism, is the idea of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. A thesis will be opposed by an antithesis, and that conflict will be resolved by a synthesis. The classic example of this is the thesis of being, the antithesis of nothing, and the synthesis of becoming. If Marx is the thesis and Trump is the antithesis, then the synthesis would be Jackson Hinkle. Now you're probably thinking that this doesn't make any sense. How can you combine the ideologies of Karl Marx and Donald Trump? Isn't the slogan, "Make America Great Again," fundamentally at odds with communism? America got a communist party in 1919. The Communist Party USA, or CPUSA, used to be funded by the Soviet Union. From 1959 to 2000, Gus Hall, a Stalinist of Finnish descent and a perennial presidential candidate, led the CPUSA. He and the party supported the Soviet Union and defended its actions almost until the end. The CPUSA turned on the USSR as Gorbachev started to liberalize the Soviet Union with glasnost and perestroika. The Soviet Union cut funding to the CPUSA and not long after stopped existing, and the party fell into irrelevancy. I mean, they fell into even more irrelevancy than before. In 2000, control of the party fell to Sam Webb, who completely changed the direction of the party. Under Webb, the CPUSA started to support the Democratic Party. Today, the CPUSA attacks third-party candidates like Jill Stein and Cornel West for splitting the left-wing vote. Gus Hall is rolling in his grave right now. So the Communist Party USA has strayed away from its roots. But where does MAGA come in? Well, Donald Trump has a lot more support from the working class than previous Republicans. He also shows skepticism towards NATO and American international obligations. At the same time, Democrats have expanded their appeal among middle-class suburbanites. A lot of the people who the left despised 20 years ago, like the Cheneys, support Democrats now. Because of this, Trump has more than a few left-wing supporters. The idea is that Trump supporters are more likely to be or become class-conscious proletarians than Harris supporters. You may be saying that this still doesn't make any sense, and you'd be right, it doesn't. I think people over-exaggerate how much influence Russia has in America, but this is probably a Russian psyop, and Russia is probably funding the American Communist Party just like the Soviets funded the CPUSA. Russian politics is even more nonsensical than MAGA communism, which is an attempt to export Russian-style politics to the US and Canada. And yes, Canada plays an important role in this too. 21st century Russian ideology is self-contradictory. Vladimir Putin supports the Russian Orthodox Church and pretends to be a defender of Christianity, but at the same time bemoans the fall of the Soviet Union. The Soviets persecuted all religions and murdered people who are now considered saints by the Russian Orthodox Church, most notably the royal family. If you look at what ACP supporters post on X, you'll see that it's about making communism seem patriotic, using aesthetics to try to appeal to the right. You could call MAGA communism socialism with MAGA characteristics. Communists have gone woke, and MAGA communists need to restore real communism. Strangely enough, it's not even clear if they actually support Trump. Jackson Hinkle contradicts himself on this. But MAGA communism is not just aesthetics, it has an actual platform. The form of communism they promote is Marxism-Leninism. There are different types of Marxism-Leninism, but they don't get any more specific than that. So what this means is that they aren't democratic socialists or anarcho-communists. They call for the abolition of all debts. They want to get rid of the FBI, NSA, CIA, and the Federal Reserve. Don't get too excited, libertarians. They want to replace the Federal Reserve with a People's National Bank. They say that everyone should have the right to health care, employment, and education. They want to ban the use of genetically modified organisms in agriculture. They stand for the nationalization of healthcare and social media. And since the year is 2024, they want to use AI in their economic central planning. On some issues, they seem to be in line with MAGA. They want to control immigration and cut foreign aid. On the other hand, despite the party's hatred of Europe, they want to force the European metric system on the United States, which doesn't seem very MAGA to me. They also say they're against American imperialism, which is very ironic, as you're about to see. What anti-imperialism means for them is they oppose military aid to Ukraine, Israel, and the Republic of China or Taiwan. They view all of these as fake countries. MAGA communists want to realign the foreign policy of the United States, seeing America's main enemies as Israel and the European Union. They see America's natural allies as primarily Russia, but also the People's Republic of China, North Korea, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, and also organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. Now, it says on their website that you can become a member if you are from the United States or Canada. That seems a bit odd. It doesn't explicitly say this on the website, but according to MAGA communists, Canada is not a real country. Canada is an extension of Europe, protruding into rightfully American land. And to be fair, America did try to liberate Canada from British rule twice. So the idea of Canada being rightfully part of the United States is not something Jackson Hinkle came up with. But there's a deep irony here. They claim that aiding Ukraine and defending their territory is imperialist, but annexing Canada is not imperialist. Vladimir Lenin defined imperialism as the highest form of capitalism. Basically, it's not imperialism when we do it. Never mind the fact that Russia isn't even communist anymore, but it's not supposed to make sense. Tankies just hate anything Western and support anything that opposes the West. And MAGA communists are basically tankies. Some other things they support that aren't on their official website are subsidizing gyms, banning Antifa, and declaring NAFO a terrorist organization. I mean, NAFO is pretty cringe, but are they really terrorists? Both the Communist Party USA and the American Communist Party claim to be the real communists in America. What does communism even mean anymore in the 2020s? One of the last remaining communist countries is an ethno-nationalist monarchy. If Trump wins next Tuesday, and it's very possible that he does, it's safe to say that the ACP and MAGA communists will have no influence in the second Trump administration. If Russia is funding these people, they're wasting their money. Anyway, I'd love to see these MAGA communists interact with Cuban American Trump supporters. Somebody needs to make that happen. What do you think about MAGA communism? Is it real communism? Is it real MAGA? Let me know in the comments.